Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Did the story earlier about Michael Matheson and getting his second deep probing, and how it seemed that he could still hang on to his job because in Scotland there is no recall petition available. There's no way of getting them out. Now there is if they're MPs, because Parliament Westminster has a recall ability. Holyrood does not. But it looks like because of Michael Matheson, because of the scandal, because this greedy, grasping, lying thief won't resign, the pressure is on for there to be introduced a recall bill. And it looks like it's got serious chances of going through. Even the SNP are willing to consider it. Of course, it'll probably be far too late to get rid of Matheson. But going forward, it is something that will sit there for the next time one of these self-important, pumped-up, pompous arseholes decides to do something that people don't like. And they can recall him. Woohoo. Let's have a look at this, because I think it's a momentous change, and all caused, of course, by Matheson and his inability to act like a decent human being. Here goes. So SNP to consider recall bill as pressure mounts over Matheson. Now, of course, we know he's had that first probe. They're still waiting to see what they're going to do with him there. They're going to suspend him or whatever. That's over the first probe. He now has a second probe, but this one much more serious, of course, because this is actually not just breaking the rules of Parliament. This is actually breaking the law. This could end up with him being put into prison. But it still wouldn't mean that he'd have to resign as an MSP. And I think people have had enough. And I think that the mood is there that we need a recall petition for Holyrood. Now, we know it works. We had Margaret Ferrier in Rutherglen. Worked marvellous there. Out she went. She didn't like it. Tough. No one knows what she's doing now. I suspect very few people care. You break the rules, you pay the price. You have to be accountable. Actions have consequences, but not, it seems, if you're Michael Matheson. Well, apart from the consequences of everyone thinking that you're a bit of a, and you do it to very young stuff. That's generally the what people are thinking. That lack of handing the iPad over is very telling. But anyway, SNP ministers have told Alistair Jack they will consider plans for a system to recall wrongdoing politicians after he advised Humza Yousaf he could help with the process in the wake of the Michael Matheson case. Now, when he first said this, a lot of people thought he was trolling, but in actual fact, it turns out it was a very serious letter written with full intent from his office. It wasn't just him sort of, bandying words and the sort of usual political banter. This was actually a genuine offer. He's saying it would improve democracy and democratic accountability. And of course, he's right. It would. The Scottish Secretary wrote to the First Minister last week offering to help come up with a system which is established in Westminster, but not yet, at least, in Holyrood. Responding on behalf of Mr Yousaf last night, SNP Business Minister George Adam, he's the one with the super brilliant hair, told Mr Jack that the Scottish Government will examine proposals being put forward by Conservative MSP Graham Simpson. In his letter shared with the Herald, Mr Adam told Mr Jack Scottish ministers consider the responsibility for the regulation of Scottish Parliament members should rest primarily with its members. Absolutely fine. No problem with that. Your rules, your Parliament, your rules. Doesn't mean that you can't listen to people who've done it previously and take advice, though. For heaven's sake, don't do this, do that. This is a really bad idea. We tried it and it didn't work. That kind of thing. Listen to them. They're not asking Westminster to introduce it. They're just saying Westminster can give you advice as you introduce it for your personal needs. Simple, isn't it? He added, we're looking forward to seeing the proposals of Graham Simpson MSP, who has secured the right to introduce the removal and recall members of the Scottish Parliament bill. We will, of course, engage with Mr Simpson's bill when it is introduced to Parliament. On this occasion, your offer of the UK Government assistance with the Scottish Parliament legislation is unnecessary. That's fine. If it's unnecessary because you've got a bill going through, absolutely fine. And I'm pretty sure, for number one, that Graham Simpson has been talking with the likes of Alistair Jack and other members at Westminster over, should we say, the protocols of the recall petition, that sort of thing. Mr. Adam went on to say then that there are, of course, circumstances where such a constructive attitude could work, and he cited collaboration on legislation to quash the convictions of postmasters caught up in the Horizon scandal. Not yet, it hasn't. The UK do not want to step on the toes of the Scottish legal profession because it was Scotland that prosecuted them, not England. So they're definitely stepping back on that one. Anyway, Mr. Simpson told the Herald, the powers to make the changes that I'm proposing lie firmly with the Scottish Parliament, so I'm very much looking forward to discussing my bill with the Scottish Government when it is ready, and I welcome their positive comments. Now, if the SNP, in its infinite wisdom, decides it isn't going to run with this, the optics will be pretty damn bad. What are they saying? They don't want members that break rules and or possibly even laws being able to be recalled. They want them to continue as they are. That seems very at odds with the claims of democracy and that, doesn't it? Not that they are, of course, but they do make the claims. And so they really left with no option but to back it, in which case it will go through. And that's a good thing. Now, it just so happens, of course, that in Scotland, the big high-profile one was, of course, Margaret Ferrier, who was an SNP MP for a short while anyway. But it could be anyone. And come the next election, of course, it's likely there's going to be a lot more Labour in there. So it may be a way of controlling Labour and so forth. So yes, I think they all need to do it. They all need to be held to account and held to a higher standard than anyone else. They are, after all, the ones making the rules. They should be cleaner than Caesar's wife. Anyway, his letter to the Scottish Secretary told Mr. Yousaf that the UK government stands ready to work with the Scottish government in making improvements in this area, such as the importance of health of our democracy. And his intervention comes amid a new row over the former Health Secretary, Mr. Matheson. And this is the one we mentioned earlier. The Falkirk West FSP returned to Holyrood this week for the first time since he resigned. And then he was off pretending to be sick, remember? And then he came back and then he had to run the gauntlet, of course, of that press pack because they were chasing him and giving him a hard time. And you could see him hunkering in and he didn't like it. And he's no more back there a day and he's got to face another probe. Oh dear, oh joy. I tell you what, he's still drawing a very healthy salary. He's still doing nothing for it. He's still letting his pension pot build. And he's only got to last till Monday. And his salary goes up, and with it, his baseline pension. So that even if he resigns on Tuesday, his baseline pension starts at a higher level. And is, of course, index linked anyway. But that's the problem. He's greedy, grasping, as well as being a crook. But I do hope that Simpson's Act goes through. I do hope that there is the bill. It passes muster. Everyone agrees to it. And then we can start getting rid of these crooks and incompetents. Coming up. Of course, the only problem is, if you got rid of all the crooks and incompetents out of Holyrood, well, there'd be very few people left. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video, and I will speak to you later. Bye.